Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CEO Speaker Series. I'm Caden Vittorini, the CEO and founder of Bit Factor, your host. And today we're joined by Michael Johnson, who is the founder and CEO of M.W. Johnson Hold Company, parent company of Peachtree Roofing and Exteriors, Atlanta, and TC Roofing and Restorations, Dallas. His companies have earned a place on the Inc. 5000 list 5 times and complete over 1,000 roof replacements and restoration projects annually across multiple markets. Michael's career in roofing began over a decade ago in Denver, where he learned that craftsmanship and character are inseparable. In 2012, he sold his first roofing company, which had grown to 5 locations. That experience shaped his approach to building companies, disciplined systems, continuous training, and a commitment to doing the work first time. Today, M.W. Johnson operates with one clear standard across residential and commercial clients: deliver quality work, clear communication, and lasting peace of mind. Michael believes strong companies are built on principles, not shortcuts. He invests in people, uses technology to bring transparency to every project, and stays deeply connected to the communities his team serves. Michael, we're super excited to have you on today, and this series is all about asking leaders what they wish they knew when they were in college. So let's dive right into it. Tell us a little about your path from student to CEO, maybe your first job, major career decisions, and just overall leadership milestones.
Yes. Once again, thanks again, Caden. Really honored to be on the program, and hopefully I can give some good insights that will help students. And my path was a very unconventional one. And so I went to the University of Georgia, and, like a lot of my fellow students, I got a little bit distracted. So, I lost my scholarship, and it's funny how things kind of work out for a reason. It led me to probably the best education that I've received in college. It forced me to work in sales. I was selling door-to-door newspaper subscriptions for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, working from 4 to 9 and one day a weekend, and really generated a high level of income. And it taught me a lot of values and a lot of things about competition, high standards, and the art of selling, which is not just having a transaction, but selling in relationships and basically influencing people with ideas. So after school, I went to go work for Countrywide Financial. I was a lending specialist. There was over 300 bankers there, and broke rookie records, and I just had a very inept ability to sell. But then, the the Great Financial Crisis happened, and 2000 for us it was 2007, but technically it landed in 2008. And my world kind of just flipped upside down. I was just a kid. I didn't have any kind of financial discipline. My parents are poor, so I didn't have that skill set. And so I had a nice Rolex, nice apartment, beating down those childhood insecurities, and didn't save any money. So had a little bit of humble pie, and I basically moved to Austin to sleep on a buddy's couch because I had no money. And it was a very low point in my life because there was a lot of uncertainty. But I swallowed my pride because a lot of my friends went back to school, get a master's degree, and so forth. I didn't have that luxury. So I valet parked cars, and I valet parked cars that weren't as nice as mine. And got me in shape because the garage was about a third of a mile away. But there, I met an individual who valet parked cars who got a job in the industry that I am in now. And I got a role as a salesperson. And within 6 months, made a significant amount of money in commissions, enough so where I decided to go travel South America. And when I came back, I started my first company. So,
what a journey! And it sounds like you've had a lot of ups and downs, but didn't let that stop you, right? So, I want to stay in college for a second. What's a myth about success that you believe as a college student, and what was the actual reality?
So I would say a myth in college is you should have it all figured out. And for an 18, 19-year-old kid, and when you're going into your major at 20, without the context of going out and experience the work, like you can't learn how to play baseball in the classroom, and you can't really learn how to learn to do a profession. And to ask someone to invest their time, effort, money, it's very difficult to decide what you want to do at that age for the rest of your life. And the thing is that you don't have to. So I think it's basically, don't overwhelm yourself with the stress of having to figure everything out for the rest of your life by the time you're 20. And
yeah. Right. I think just the pressure through social media, people see all these different people living different lives and their dream lives and dream professions and all these different things where they feel like they have to have it figured out. And I love that you mentioned that, because that's powerful. So you're right now where you're at and all the success that you've had. If you could go back to your college self and tell him one thing, what would you say?
I would say it's okay. Everything works out in the end. And if it hasn't, it's not the end. Because of a lot of the insecurities and uncertainties about and the pressures of the foundation that you're creating in college for the rest of your life. And there's a lot of pressure on people and kids. And, it takes people a little while to figure out what they're passionate about and what they want to do. And so back then I was the same way. I had high levels of anxiety. And I know right now with college students across the United States and the world is what's the uncertainty with AI, right? But just know it's okay. Everything will work out in the end. And if it hasn't, then it's not the end. Let's continue forward. Yeah. So, and then also I would say, don't be pressured by, because I'm Asian, and every Asian parents wants their child to be a doctor, an attorney, but lean into what you're good at more so than what you're passionate about, and then also, and don't allow others to influence what you want and what you want to do with the rest of your career and what skill sets you want to build. And so lean into your strengths, and ignore the noise.
Mm-hmm. And you're kind of getting into this a little bit, but I want to continue this. My next question was, what do you think one of the biggest challenges that students face today, whether they're just starting college or just about to graduate, getting to the real world? What's like the number one challenge that you think all students might be facing, or most, let's say?
I would say the same as most of, young professionals and students. It's just the uncertainty of AI. I have a nephew I adore. He's a senior at University of Georgia, and he just has this negative mindset about how he's not going to be. He had 2 interns as a financial analyst, and how he's not going to be able to get a job. And yes, with that mindset, it impedes action. And I think people need to understand, and students in general, is like, how can I leverage this AI to be valuable, to increase my value? And I think that's the most important question that anyone can ask themselves every day. How can I increase my value as a student? How can I increase my value as a member of my community, to my God, to my wife, as a father? And do it in a service mindset. And as you increase your value and you take action to do that, or you sharpen your axe to be more valuable, you just naturally become a leader, and you see things that others don't, because you ask empowering questions, you get great answers. You ask poor questions, like about things that you can't control, such as AI, ultimately you become a victim.
Yeah. So just like your nephew and kind of how he's feeling, what would be your advice for navigating that challenge around AI? If students that maybe are feeling negative and down about the future and their specific profession that they might be in or stepping into, they feel like that AI might take it over. What would be your advice for navigating that?
Oh, 100% lean into it. It is the future. Sharpen that skill set for yourself outside of, your finance, your finance degree or your marketing degree. Like, how can you leverage AI systems, maybe build agentic workflows to actually help a small, medium-sized enterprise, or even a larger enterprise? But you'll probably have more access to a small or medium enterprise because they don't have the skill set or the knowledge to actually implement that. But how can you leverage this amazing tool to actually become more valuable, right?
Yeah, right.
And then how and to increase your exposure. And just like anything else in business, you need to differentiate yourself from the competition, whether that's going to Princeton or doing the extracurricular. Like, what makes you special? And it's no different than me and our competitors to our clients. What makes us different and what makes us special? It's the value that you add, and it's the deliverables that you have, but it's also how do you separate yourself that's perceived by either the future employer or by the client. So differentiate yourself, lean into what's coming, and look at it as an opportunity to grow. I'm doing it. I'm taking an MIT certification on agentic AI, and I'm continuing to sharpen my axe, and no different for students.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's some really good advice. Well, thank you for that. And now we're going to do a question game where I'm going to have you pick a number 1 through 5, and you won't know the question until you choose that number.
Okay. 4 is my favorite number. So,
a leadership mistake you made and that you learned from.
Thinking that culture was a poster on the wall with a lightning bolt that says perseverance. You don't know the value of a good culture till you've had a bad one. And it's a foundation of a company, but reinforcing culture. So not doing that early in my career.
Yeah, good. And now we're going to do a lightning round type of thing. So I'm going to have you answer in a sentence or less. I'm going to ask you 6 questions, and I want you to answer on the spot. You ready?
All right, let's go. I'll do my best.
Favorite college class?
History.
Go-to coffee order?
Americano, 2 Splendas, and cream.
Best book or podcast recommendation?
I would say, I mean, this is a classic, but How to Win Friends and Influence People. The older ones are typically better.
Yeah, great book. Best productivity hack?
Get an EA. No. Best productivity hack. I think for me, very quickly, is reevaluating your calendar and reflecting on your calendar at the end of the last hour of Friday, and evaluating how efficient you were, what got done, what needs to get done, what needs to be tuned up, because just because it's on your calendar and it passes doesn't mean it's completely done, and it's just rework. So just getting that. Yeah. So I don't know if that was fast enough. So that's right.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. Yeah, something that I focus on as well. Your dream mentor, he or she could be dead or alive.
I mean, I would say certainly Warren Buffett. Yeah, that's a very cliche answer, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a great one. And lastly, what's something you do every day that helps you stay grounded?
Give my girls, I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, but give my girls, a big kiss and a hug when I get home from work, and just really think about how grateful I am to have them.
That's awesome. Awesome job in the lightning round. So now, we're going to talk about what got you to the success that you've had. So I want to hear 3 traits, habits, or skills that helped you go from a student to now a CEO.
So I would say the job of a CEO, and I think this translates to just living an exceptional life, is not focusing on it, but looking at blind spots and the risk. What's the looming iceberg coming, right? So always projecting and thinking at that level. Working on getting a high level EQ. You have to be able to read the room. You have to read nonverbal communication. And leadership is not a mandate, because I have people on the bottom of my org chart who are leaders. Leaders are people who add more value, who contribute, that people respect, that people want to follow. Yeah. So people want to be in leadership. I said, well, that's your decision. So high level EQ, and then also asking what more I can do. I think having courage is very, very key to be a great leader. Courage in the sense of making a decision that's not popular, courage to have the tough conversation, courage to take the risk that to even start your first business, and then constant, never-ending improvement, continuing to, just an insatiable need to learn and grow and just, get better. Yeah.
I
So,
love that. And what's one last piece of advice that you have for students who want to lead or become more of a leader?
um, I would say ask the question always. I tell everybody in my organization, what more can I do? And how can I become more valuable? And when you do that, you'll naturally become a leader. And you do it not in a transactional sense. You do it in a sense of servant without any, because you want to contribute. But research, read, of course, but ask those questions and then go and do it.
Yeah.
Right. Go and do it. You have to go, go do it within, your community, do it within school organizations, do it within your family, right? You don't need a title. You just need courage, and you just need to add value, and people will follow.
Right? Just go for it. Take
Just
that
act.
risk. I love that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
if this was a great interview. I really appreciate your time, Michael. And if students could only remember 10 seconds from this interview, what should it be?
I would say always ask, just get the concept of asking empowering questions. You can say, how can I leverage AI to differentiate myself to where I am a no-brainer for employers to hire?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can ask the question of, why can't why does AI have to exist? Because I'm never going to get a job. Really be conscious of your internal thoughts and questions that you ask yourself, because it will dictate a lot of your decisions, and that dictates actions or lack of. So just ask empowering good questions.
Yeah.
And so that's it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for joining us, Michael. That was awesome. And thanks everyone who's watching. If something resonated with you today, share it with a friend or mentor. These conversations are meant to inspire action and change. We'll see you next time on the CEO Speaker Series. Thanks again, Michael.
Hey, Caden. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate the opportunity, and good on you for the work you're doing.
Yes, I appreciate it.